So just to give you a bit of background, for those of you who don't know who Peter Christian are, they're a multi-channel menswear clothing retailer targeting the sort of 45, 50 plus market and the more discerning gentleman. They're based down in West Sussex, been trading for about 12 years, and they're still a family-owned business run by Nick and Miranda Alderton with around 20 members of staff. And they're just coming up to their 10-year anniversary with the Abacus Alliance. So a bit of background on how the conversations began with Abacus. Their customer base has grown over the last 12 years they've been trading, so they now have over 300,000 customers. And they're mailing around 1 million catalogues per year with around 7 to 8 drops. So all the data selections are run in-house by David using an RFM segmentation. And obviously, as their database has grown, the need to sort of get a more granular view on their customer activity has become more and more important, sort of understanding within their lapse base those customers that are still valid prospects to target, and those maybe who aren't going to provide a positive return on investment. So they came to us really to sort of help them get their data working a bit harder. So there's various products that we can work with on clients to enhance your customer selections. The first of those is our Campaign 360 product. And this is a fully managed solution where Abacus really take a lot of the pain off your hands. So we'll run all of the campaign segmentation, the selections, and create the output files and do all of the post-campaign reporting. We've got our house file modeling, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. So this is where we build sort of ad hoc models, net of your customer selections to sort of find you the very best next prospects for you to mail within your house file, using what we know about those customers in the wider home shopping space. We have license scoring. So this is sort of a more of a client-hosted solution, and it's an extension from house file modeling. So we will deliver a house file model bended across your entire customer file for you to use across multiple campaigns and across multiple seasons. So you can integrate that with your own segmentation, sort of identifying incremental selections and suppression opportunities. And then finally, we have data tagging. And this is the option we went with David. He's a very hands-on technical guy. He likes to play around with the data.
You can use the word geek.
He's a geek. So he really wanted to sort of get under the skin of the data. And this is where we deliver aggregated variables based at category level, looking at people's spend activity within your competitor category and also across the 21 merchandising categories in the Alliance. And Michele's going to talk to you a little bit more around data tagging now.
Yeah, so what is data tagging exactly? So it's a data enhancement product that allows you to see where else your consumers are buying, what else they're buying, how much sort of they're spending in different categories that might be sort of relevant to you, and when did they make the last purchase. We've got over 400 variables we can append to your database. You don't have to take 400 variables. If you'd rather eat stones for a month than take 400 variables, we can sort of shortlist them for you and just provide the ones that are relevant. We actually make no extra money by giving you more variables. It's really coming down to what is practical and useful for your business. And these variables sort of measure activity across the entire Alliance, but also each one of the sort of 21 different product categories we have on the Alliance. And this is the best solution if you want to add sort of an extra layer of information to your existing segmentation. It allows you to keep the analysis and the data selection in-house, so you can be fully integrated with what it's already there and you're already using. And also it provides you with a high level of flexibility, so you can use it for, say, incremental selections, suppressions, but also to run other types of analysis, such as share of wallet, and we'll touch on that later on in the presentation. So this is actually how it looks. And if you are sort of more interested in the big picture than the operational details, feel free to sort of take a sneak peek at your email or update your Facebook status, whatever, for the last couple of minutes. All this information is summarized at the household level. And we actually provide back our household ID so that you can see which sort of individuals we link back to the same household. We do provide back your customer number, so you can easily sort of feed the information into your systems. And then, again, up to or over 400 variables. And just to give you a sense of the type of variables that we can share with you, this can be, for example, total spend on their Abacus Alliance in lifetime. So, for example, the top household there spent £6,120 on the Alliance in their lifetime. And these spend variables, as well as other variables, can be created over different periods. So we can look at lifetime, but we can look at 0 to 12 months, or 0 to 6 months, or 0 to 24 months. So you can have different views on the sort of customer activity. It's not all about spend. We can track different dimensions. For example, we can share with you how many transactions the household has made over different periods. And this is useful, for example, to look at average order value in your competitive category versus average order value with your own business. We can actually track and share with you how many different brands the households have been interacting with on the Alliance. And as I said earlier, we can track the recency of purchase. So, for example, the top household there made their last purchase 24 days ago. And we can track this information for different categories. So you can have information on the overall Alliance, but also for your specific competitive category. So now you've seen how it looks like. You might be asking yourself, okay, how does it integrate with what I have already in place? And there's many ways to integrate this information with what you're using already. If you're building models in-house, you can feed the information through during the building process, the model building process, so that you can enhance sort of the predictive power of those models. What Peter Christian did is to integrate the information with the RFM segmentation that they had in place. Now, there's many different ways of doing RFM. What I'm presenting here is an oversimplified RFM segmentation. It's only RF, so we're only looking at recency of purchase and frequency. But that's just to give you a sense of what the tags can be integrated with. So let's say you've got your recency split into 0 to 12 months, 13 to 24 months, and 25 plus months. We've purposely omitted sort of the information on the 0 to 12s, because if they're multis, they tend to work very, very well anyways. And if they're singles, they tend to be sort of included in some form of nursery program. So let's concentrate on sort of the 13 plus groups, which is what Peter Christian did as well. And this can be split again into multis and singles, and that's your frequency, where multis are people that made more than one purchase. So when we look at it like that, you've got clearly, if you assume your, say, response rate or acceptable response rate is about 1%, you've got some groups of customers that consistently sort of perform above acceptable, and some groups that consistently lose you money if you mail them. Now you've got different choices here. You can decide to mail people at a loss. That's an option. You can also decide not to mail them ever again. And of course, you're basically excluding potential reactivations there. With the tags, you add an extra layer of information. So that is, again, a very simplified way of using it, but you could look, for example, at activity in the men's clothing category in the last 12 months and split the cells based on that activity. So you will have 13 to 24 months multis with activity in the men's clothing in the period or without activity. So people that have not purchased recently in your competitive category. And that allows you to, again, split or separate groups that are performing and groups that are not. So for example, again, your singles overall, they might have been performing at 1.2%, which is, again, above acceptable. You can continue to mail them and make a small contribution. However, if you have more information about these people, you can see that within that group, you've got some that perform very well at 1.5 and some that are actually below acceptable. So that gives you an opportunity for suppression. And when we say suppression, we actually mean an opportunity to reduce the contact frequency. We don't mean that you need to sort of forget about these people forever after. You can just maybe pull them out of your off-peak campaigns. At the same time, we had this group here in the 25 plus sort of section that was consistently non-responsive. Now, if we separate them between people that are engaged within your category and people that are not, based on the tags, then we can pull out, for example, a couple of groups there that we can make sort of work above acceptable, and that will sort of enlarge the potential audience for reactivation. So this is, again, a very simplified version. Peter Christian actually used a more sophisticated approach. So instead of having sort of just a yes and no variable there, they rank their customers based on their spend in the competitive category. And then they've set specific thresholds at which a customer sort of falls into the cell that is selected versus the cell that is suppressed. So this is how it was applied, and I think Mark is going to take you through some results.
Yeah. So just to sort of give you some top-line results, the first area is suppression. So David was able to identify around 7,500 to 12,500 suppression records per mailing, which saves them between £4,000 to £6,500 per campaign. So when you start to think of that saving across the 7 to 8 campaigns they're running per year, you're looking at savings of around sort of £40,000 to £50,000 across the year. So it's quite significant. And by suppressing those sort of underperforming cells, they were able to get an uplift in their 24-month plus customers by around 20% in that sort of seller data. And by suppressing those records, they could also pull in some incremental selections. So they've managed to mail their inquirers and single buyers beyond the 12-month point, and they're seeing those records perform at similar levels to their 24 to 36-month multi-buyers. So this is sort of enabling them to bring in, reactivate customers and bringing them into their sort of 0 to 12-month multi-buyer pot.
And that's me again. So we said that tags are really a highly flexible tool. So we saw how they can be used for additional suppressions or additional sort of reactivation sort of opportunities. That's not all you can do with the tags. Peter Christian recently has started to experiment with a share of wallet segmentation. And the idea behind the share of wallet segmentation is to have something you can use to drive your offer strategy. You know who you are going to select and mail, but do you know sort of which offer to put in front each of your customers to maximize sort of the revenue potential there? So we've got 2 dimensions there. Total spend in 24 months, and that is really a sum of the spend with Peter Christian and the spend within the competitive category. So somebody that spent, say, £50 with Peter Christian and £150 within the competitive category will end up with a spend of £200 over the period. And the other sort of dimension is really the ratio between the spend with Peter Christian and the spend within, the total spend during the period. So for example, going back to that, so what guy that spent £50 and £150 with a total of £200, the share of wallet there would be £50 over £200, and that's 25%. So we did some analysis with David, and we sort of identified thresholds that sort of discriminate between high spenders and low spenders, and between high share of wallet and low share of wallet. And that's very sort of tailored to your own brand and your own category. If you integrate these two dimensions, you create 4 segments. You've got an evaluate segment, grow share of wallet segment, grow spend segment, and retain segment. So the idea is to treat these segments in different ways, again, to maximize revenue opportunities. So for example, if you are somebody that doesn't spend in much overall, and you're actually not particularly loyal to Peter Christian, you will fall into the evaluate segment. And again, these people tend to be very much offer-driven, so they shop around and use discounts a lot. And therefore, what we suggest there is to be mindful of the amount of sort of marketing budget you invest in this segment. So for example, you might decide to pull them out if you're going out with a campaign that doesn't have a particularly strong offer or discount, because they're very unlikely to respond to full price offerings. Then we go into the grow share of wallet segment. So these people spend a lot in the category and overall, but they're not particularly loyal to the Peter Christian brand. However, there's a lot of opportunity there for Peter Christian. So these are the ones you want to target with very strong offers, because there's a lot to gain there. There's a lot of extra activity you can capture if you go out with the right offer. On the other side is, in the yellow cell, you've got people that are very loyal to the brand, but they don't spend much overall. Now, if you send a strong discount to these people, you're basically just cannibalizing your own revenue. They're going to purchase from you anyway. They're loyal to your brand. What you need to do is to send an order builder, so you can get them to, say, buy 2 shirts and sort of get a free tie, rather than sort of buy 1 shirt at 20% off. Yeah. And finally, we've got the retain segment. These are your VIPs. These are people that spend a lot of money and they're very loyal to your brand. And the suggestion there is to, again, make the most of personalization and try to make them feel special. It's not Peter Christian, but it's somebody else in the room. And they came up with, they're using the share of wallet segmentation, and they came up with a very clever sort of idea there of offering their tailoring services for free to this group. So they offered tailoring services for their sweaters, for example, where you can get it made in the color that you like, even if it's not in their catalog, and you pay for that normally. But for very sort of high spenders, so for people in the retain group that are also very loyal to the brand, they offer this for free, and that makes them feel special. In terms of Peter Christian, again, they've just started testing this. So I think they've tested a stronger offer on the gross spend group to make, again, these customers open their wallet a bit more. And they tested a strong offer on the grocer wallet group as well. And I think they've seen sort of quite substantial increase in response rate there. We don't have mature results yet to share, but maybe we will sort of at the next Insights event. However, we wanted to show this to you so you get a sense of the different things you can do with the tags and you know, what a sort of a flexible and valuable instrument the tags are. And that was it.